we're going to end the show with Super Game Brothers top 10 list. Devin, we've been playing a lot of what game recently?
Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors.
Reiner Knizia.
Yeah, exactly. That's the right answer to every question. Vampire Survivors. And I think one of the most fun parts of that game is it's like dopamine overload. Like the whole time. It's just like things exploding, thousands of enemies. And it's just kind of fun to have that kind of happen. So I made a list of the top 10, David's top 10 dopamine-inducing games. I think you've played most of these, but we're just going to go through the top 10. If you have any other ones that you want to add, feel free, but I think these 10 will probably represent it pretty well. So we're going to go back up to the screen, and I need to click on the right thing here. Number 10 here, Devin, for me, is Peggle. Peggle's a little tricky in that it's uber lucky, in my opinion. You basically throw these metal balls down and you're trying to get it to bounce on certain pegs to get a ton of points and to clear like all of the orange pieces, I think. But man, super, super fun when you're watching it like bounce around kind of Plinko style, and you get to do some cool like slow motion and multi-ball stuff, and it's just can be a little bit of like firework overload on the screen. So that was one me and my wife really enjoyed. It's been a while, but it's fun. So Peggle 2 is my number 10 there. For number 9, and they're going to take up a big chunk of this list, are games from Housemarque Games. I think a lot of their games, for me, represent like kind of the best of like fast-paced arcade games where you kind of get in like a zen-like state and you're just like flowing and there's bullets everywhere, and after a bit of learning you're just crushing it. See if I can find the different video that actually shows the gameplay here though. But this is an excellent game. It's very tricky. This one is probably their this is my third favorite of their games. We'll get to the other two in a minute. Spoilers, but very, very fun. You're trying to keep up a combo, defeating enemies, not getting hit, so you can keep that combo up. And it has some cool boss fights in there as well. Very, very cool. I think the bullet hell element of games kind of remind me of Vampire Survivors, with like you've got 10,000 enemies coming at you, or in this scenario 10,000 bullets kind of coming at you. So that's Nex Machina at number 9. Number 8, Devin, is one I know that you've played.
I agree with number 8.
And I think something that I also love about Vampire Survivors is in some stages, especially with certain characters, you'll start out feeling very underpowered for like the first quarter of the stage. But then as you get like the right upgrades, you start to feel super overpowered towards like the end of your arc. And I like that feeling in like a roguelike game or something like this that is very action focused, where you're struggling, and then, oh yes, I got this gun that I love. And Enter the Gungeon is very much that, where there's, I think, thousands of different gun combinations in the game, and you can get like a rainbow chest all of a sudden and then feel like uber like powerful for a minute. Just an excellent game. This one, man, has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I struggled to ever get to the point of feeling overpowered in this game, though.
It is true. I don't feel like you ever feel like incredibly dominant, but I do feel like in some runs I felt more capable than others.
Yeah, the RNG of weapon drops, if that's how you pronounce that, is make or break per round.
Yeah, it can be. But when you get a good one, it's fun.
And it's co-op, so play with your friends.
It's true, and it's pretty great in co-op. It doesn't feel like too restrictive, which is a good thing. So that's number 8 at Enter the Gungeon. Next up, another one that gives me that same feeling where, man, you feel like you're really struggling, but then with a couple upgrades, or in this case, a couple new cards getting added to your deck, you can start to feel like, okay, now my deck is really, really like synergizing well. And I'm really rolling. Slay the Spire, super, super fun. Um, so much has been said about this game. I don't know if I can say much more. I don't know that you've played this one, Devin.
I've not. It's interesting to see what it's like right now.
Oh, it's so fun. It's a deck building game. So you start with a certain character, of which I think there are 4 or 5, and they'll have a base deck. And then as you start your run, you're playing cards to do attack and defense. But then you can purge cards from your deck, like permanently, and then get new cards in your deck. So you can make each run incredibly different just based on which cards you buy from the shops or how you decide to upgrade. It's really, really, really great. So I am very excited to play the sequel. I don't generally play games in early access, so I'm kind of waiting for it to be like fully released. But Slay the Spire 2, I think, is out if you want to play it in that form. So another just really great one. Feels good to just start wrecking shop, watching your cards kind of combo together in certain ways. Just great. So good one there. This one gives me similar vibes, but in a different way. Hades is number, what's that, 6?
6.
And this one, again, just kind of similar to Enter the Gungeon, I think gives me that feeling of when you get a good run going, man, it's really fun to just blast through enemies. The art's super gorgeous, and there can be damage like flying all over the screen. A bit more, I don't know, focused on quality and like, I don't know, skill than Vampire Survivors, where Vampire Survivors is more about like the build and just avoiding damage.
Hades is so good.
It really is.
The main menu upgrades, permanent upgrades, temporary upgrades. The story is kind of fun, the different
really
people
is.
you talk to.
And the way they roll it out is excellent. You feel like almost after every single run, like it's not just like Spelunky, which I love, where you're just hopping right back in. It's, oh, this person has a new thing to tell me, and I've got like a quest here. It really feels like a linear game, but it's not. It's a roguelike game. And like the bosses change. Like the end of World 1 boss will change at some point, which is like, it adjusts itself so well. It's really excellent once you get some good upgrades and really get used to the combat. Find a weapon that you love, and there's quite a few different ones. Man, that one really sings. So dopamine hit for sure, but a little more skill based than some of the others. Number 5
Number 5
is a new game this year. It's actually up. This is kind of funny. Or I guess it's not funny. It's got its Game of the Year nominee banner right here for the Game Awards. Very well deserved. This is Balatro. In this game, you're trying to make poker hands to get as many points as possible. Your points have 2 things. You have chips on the blue side, and then your multiplier on the red side. And they multiply together to give you your score. And you have to get over some threshold to beat a level, or else you lose and have to start over again. And so you're getting crazy upgrades in order to change your deck. You can start with crazy decks. One of my favorite decks is called the Checkered deck. And I think it only has diamonds and, what's the other one? Spades, maybe? So there's only 2 suits, but you have 26 cards of each suit. So with that one, I basically try to level up flush all the way, because you're much more likely to have 5 cards of the same suit with only 2 suits. So you can really customize this one like crazy. And then a lot of the fun comes with the jokers. There are, I think, almost 200 jokers if I'm not misremembering. And they give you all kinds of like game-breaking perks that will let you like adjust your hand size or give you extra chips or extra mult if you do this or that. And the way they combo is just excellent. And like setting a hand down and then just watching it go ding 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 ding, and give you like 100,000 points with 100,000 ding noises. It's pretty wonderful. So Balatro is really great. It's on Apple Arcade. Play it on your phone or your iPad. It's also, I think, just about everywhere. on PlayStation, Steam, and elsewhere. So that's Balatro at number, was that 4?
I believe that was 5.
That was 5. Okay. Number 4, this one, I don't know, this one might be one of the more controversial ones on this list, but as far as dopamine is concerned. But the way I think about Spelunky and Spelunky 2, I've played them so much that at some point, like the physics and like the rules of the game just kind of like cement in your head.
Yes.
And you get into kind of like a state where you can almost sprint through levels, even though everything is trying to kill you and basically can at any moment. And you're just like so good at the game and understanding its rules at that point that it becomes almost like a dopamine hit in a different way than the other games in this list. So that's kind
It's so exciting trying to get far in this game.
It
And
really
you're
is.
doing well, and you did it. You checked every box, which is extremely hard to do.
Yeah. You can get crazy builds in this game too. My favorite is to get there's this sacred cup you can get, and it will fill with, it sounds morbid, but it's less morbid than it sounds. It will fill with blood of the enemies you kill. If after you kill them, you run around and like grab their little blood droplets, and that will just fill up your hearts. You only have 4 hit points to start the game, and I've gotten up almost close to 30, I think. And at that point, you feel really like invulnerable as well.
You feel safe except for the things that can one-shot.
Yeah, it's true. You fall on spikes and you still die even with 30 health or get squished. So you're never truly safe, but with enough practice, you kind of start to feel more safe for sure.
What a punishing, fun, well-made game.
Just excellent.
You just have to play it with people who are willing to retry and retry and retry and retry, because that's how it goes.
Yeah. Made by the same designer as UFO 50, which is uber popular this year. Yeah, if you haven't played Spelunky, it's just, I mean, I don't know. I think it's one of the best games ever made. So fun, excellent game, different kind of dopamine hit for sure, but I think it is there if you're looking for that. Okay, this is number 3, right?
This is number 3.
Okay. Number 3 for me is the next game from let's see, from Housemarque that I think is, again, the bullet hell nature of bullets flying at you everywhere, getting a cool build, and eventually like feeling uber overpowered is Returnal. And this one being like a big, almost AAA, like third-person game with really pretty graphics too, is like really fun because you're kind of used to Housemarque's games being little 2D things or kind of, we talked about Vampire Survivors and we're going to again in a minute. This one feels like ultra high budget compared to that. Man, it feels great. Devin, I know you've played this one a bit. What were your thoughts on it real quick before I talk about my favorite thing?
My thoughts on this game. I thought the house was cool. You show up and it kind of like introduces you to a story. Each zone is very different aesthetically. It's showing that right now.
Yeah.
Weapon variety. One of my favorite things is I wasn't just screwed over by picking up a weapon. I was able to drop the one I had, try the new weapon, didn't like the perks of it, pick my old weapon up.
Yeah.
Super fun. Awesome visuals, awesome audio.
Oh yeah.
Cool enemy design. I think I got, I don't know, 60% of the way through. How many worlds are there? 5?
I think there's 6.
6? Then maybe I got 50%.
Yeah, I think you're
I don't know
close.
why I stopped playing
World 3 is tough. I don't think you beat the 3rd one yet.
Yeah, it wants you to slow down a little bit sometimes. You can be the type of person to just blast through each world, but then you don't have the upgrades that you probably
it wants
need.
You can still move fast. I love how the movement speed is uber fast.
So amazing.
But it wants you to explore. Look for chests. Look for extra heals.
It's honestly a perfectly set up game because nothing is more frustrating than dampened movement. So to be able to move fast is super nice, but to be able to move fast in a strategic corner checking way, makes me very happy.
Did you get to this boss of the 3rd world? I don't think you did. That boss is excellent. So is the boss of the 4th world. Man. Game rules. Game is so good. The part of it I think that gives me the dopamine hit is the same thing as some of the others we've talked about, where you can like really feel like you're barely skirting by with like a weapon you don't really like, but then you get like a few good upgrades And I don't think you got to my favorite weapon, Devin. It's called the Pylon Driver, I believe.
Hmm.
And man, it just rules. You don't primarily aim at enemies with it. It shoots these little like electricity rods that lodge either in enemies or in walls or in floors, and then they arc and create a red line of electricity between each other,
Okay.
which harms the enemies. And so you're basically just running and shooting those pylons like everywhere
As traps.
as kind of like a trap, yeah. Or you can shoot it right at the enemy and just have them like impaled with them. But yeah, very, very great game. I love this one. And like I mentioned, some of those boss fights are just killer. And you can get into like a zen-like state with this one too, as you like improve at it. But there are some very difficult parts. I think there's these enemies in the third world that shoot missiles, like heat-seeking kind of missiles at you. Those ones killed me so many times. Great game. All right, number 2 was kind of the inspiration for this list for me. Vampire Survivors. Just so much fun. So it is so addicting and fun that my wife even likes playing it.
Well, that's what I was saying about it, is anybody would enjoy this game.
Yeah.
Because you can do it
with one
and
hand.
Text at the same time.
Yep. I've had quite a few runs. Well, not quite a few. I've had a couple where I was playing with my son and I was really tired and I accidentally fell asleep.
Oh, yeah.
But it didn't matter because I had so many upgrades going that I fell asleep for like 5 full minutes, and he's like running around me, and we're just destroying the level, which makes it seem like the game is playing itself. But it's not. You get to do enough, and you have to move to avoid damage and stuff. I had just had so many upgrades at that point that nothing could hurt me. But this game is, I think, dopamine defined. I think I did have a level just a couple days ago where I killed over 100,000 enemies, which I think is the highest I've gotten. It was like 102 or something.
I think we did that as well.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it was close to 100,000. I think we had leveled up so many times.
Mm-hmm.
There's specific maps where it sends so many tiny enemies at you.
Those are the easier ones, yeah. Because some of the maps start towards the end of the level. They'll just send all the big enemies that have so much health, and they don't die very fast. But yeah, those tiny ones. Oh yeah, man, Vampire Survivors, tons of game in there. I've played it for probably 20 hours, and I still have only purchased the base game, which is $4.99, $4.99. Or you can get it on sale occasionally, and it has like 5 or 6 expansions at this point. So just so great. That is my number 2 dopamine game of all time.
Number 1 dopamine game on this list reminds me of you.
Does it?
Yes. And here it is.
I love it. It's my favorite Housemarque game. I played this one also a ton with my wife, which it's surprising that she liked this one because this one is much more skill based than like Vampire Survivors, but just excellent. This is Resogun, and this is very much an arcade game where you're kind of going left and right, but it rotates around a cylinder. You're trying to save humans, and you can only shoot left and right in a straight line. There's different ships you can play as, and again, you're trying to keep your multiplier up in order to get the best scores and the best upgrades by not missing humans, not taking damage. I think there's only 5 stages in the regular game, but there's a lot of like replay value in there for just having 5 base stages. Each stage ends in a cool big boss fight. And then they did release I think 2 DLC packs to this game, and they were super fun. Can't remember their names, like the name of the DLC pack, but one of them I think had you playing as the humans with Gatling guns, and you would like shoot at aliens up in the sky, and you had to like jump back and forth on little platforms, kind of like Super Smash Brothers and stuff. Just had some really, really great expansion content as well that just kind of remix the formula. I think this one is super. You definitely get in like a flow-like state with this one, too. But much like Hades, I think this one takes a bit more skill and finesse than than some of the others. But this is my favorite dopamine hit of a game, and especially just watching all those voxels explode, the cubes, fun moments. This was kind of I mean, for like the first year, this was my favorite PlayStation 4 game. I mean, just rules. So, anyways, that's Resogun. Devin, I know you've played it a little bit. Have you played much of this one?
No, not too much. I have 2 honorable mentions.
Okay, yeah, let's do some.
And we don't have to pull them up, but the first one is Borderlands 3.
Oh, yeah.
As you progress through each planet in that game, you're able to unlock sections of the map, which you can come back to later and do basically, it's like, not boss rushes, but waves of enemies, and it gets extremely hard.
Yeah.
It's basically a dopamine hit after putting 100 hours into the game to create a perfect build of your character, because you can womp on the enemies. And then they start throwing extremely heavy, tanky enemies at you.
Mm-hmm.
That game feels a little more realistic than a lot of these games on this list, just because it is a first-person shooter. Very satisfying in certain times in that game, unless your build is absolute garbage, and then you feel like you're just getting wrecked. But
that one is fun. I really like the PlayStation 5 upgrade too, because it runs really well. And that menu where you like pull up your character upgrade screen that's like overlaid over the actual game.
Yes.
Actually like functions really well on the upgrade too. So.
Yeah, it's a bit to understand at first, but that game's pretty dang amazing. I'm very excited for Borderlands 4. The other one I don't have as much information about, but I dabbled in 2 or 3 of the Doom games.
Oh, yeah.
And like them or hate them, they can be a bit intense. It is absolute sprinting and punishment from all angles.
No, it really is. Just heavy metal and gore. But I mean, it definitely takes like it kind of has a similar vibe to like something like this or Returnal, where like you get in a flow state and you're like blowing up this guy's guts here and this alien over here, and then you cut that guy in half, and heavy metal's going the whole time. It's a crazy experience. So I think those are good honorable mentions.
The last thing I'll say, I think any game can give you a dopamine hit if you understand the game well enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Clash Royale, I get in that Zen state you were talking about, and I can see victory happening.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I think I'm a little ahead right now, and I understand the vision of how to fake you out and basically give myself a guaranteed win. And I like that about games. I learned Remnant 2 so well that I loved joining randoms online because I knew my build was top tier.
Right.
And I was like, I know all the secrets, and I'm going to help you guys find some things.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. Sometimes it is nice to feel like you know something or you've learned something thoroughly, and it's fun to share.
Yeah. No, I agree. There are definitely lots of different kinds of dopamine in video games. And that's probably like in all of them.
Yeah.
I would feel like that's generally what we're looking for in a video game. It's like, okay, when do I get the next good feeling?
Yeah.
But anyways, let us know in the comments what your favorite games are that give you a dopamine rush. I think these 10 that I kind of went through today are some of my favorites, but as Devin mentioned is in his honorable mentions, there's so many other ways that could be interpreted, and so many other games too. And I may have forgotten some great ones that could have been on this list for me too. So let us know. And that's going to do it for this Super Game Brothers top 10 list.